Welcome back, guys, to Kunapong Vlog. I'm so happy to be here, and you might see familiar faces here. I have Stephanie and I have Arianne here. We talked before last year on their Water in Real Life podcast, which is really awesome. And I'm really happy to have both of them on my vlog interview today. A little bit about the vlog is that we're gonna learn about their journey on how they started Rogue Water and Water in Real Life podcast. So it's gonna be a really fun, interesting conversation. And because what they do is communication, so I'll give them the floor to kind of tell you guys a little bit who they are and what are they doing right now.
Well, Arianne and I, we actually used to both work for municipal water utilities for about 10 years until we got this idea one day. Well, there's a whole story to it. I don't know how much you want us to get into it now, but because it was actually an idea that happened in like 2015, where we got this idea, and we didn't actually, the stars didn't align until November 2017. It's still like hard for me to believe that we're almost on 2 years, but we worked for cities doing public communications, public outreach, public engagement. When you work for a city, you wear 100 different hats. And then in 2017, we went rogue and we started Rogue Water. And in June of 2018, we started Water in Real Life podcast. And it has been a whirlwind of an adventure. Yes. So neither one of us have what you would consider formal communication backgrounds. But every single element of our backgrounds are pretty important for what we do on the day-to-day though. And getting that boots on the ground experience under our belt was a big piece of that. So
nice.
But we're excited to talk to you. It's pretty cool to be interviewed by someone that we interviewed.
I know, this is neat.
And to see you like embarking on your own entrepreneurial journey. So that's amazing. So
I'd like to take some credit for that.
And I mean, you guys are one of the people that I look into when I started this journey myself, right? Like your entrepreneurial spirit is very high, and I really like that. And that is something I always think at the back of my mind. So when I was looking for someone to be on this vlog interview, you guys came up right away.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah.
So maybe a little bit, could you explain a little bit about Rogue Water, like what actually you guys are doing?
Sure. You want to take this one, or you want to?
You can go for it.
Okay, so I'll start, and she'll probably clean it up. Well, Rogue Water, is a public communication company, and we really focus on not just being a factory for utilities and different private and public firms in the water sector, but really teach a man how to fish, teach a woman how to fish, and just kind of revolutionizing the entire industry.
Wow.
Just a small thing. Of revolutionizing through the lens of communication and outreach and education for us. So we help utilities communicate better to their customers. We help private companies communicate better to their utilities, and we help everyone hold hands and communicate better to each other. So
that's nice. Communication is key, right? Like connecting all the dots, all the people together, and openly discuss or talk about that issue. That's really awesome. And before we dive into the questions that we have today, I want to acknowledge here that the work that you guys are doing are very meaningful, and I want to give you credit of what you both do. And congratulations on your 40 under 40 Dynamic Duo Award by the Fort Worth Inc. So congratulations, and thank you.
Thank you. That was an honor to receive that. That's something I never thought I would be able to say. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that was really special.
It's just the beginning. So what inspired you to co-found Rogue Water, and Water in Real Life podcast. We would love to hear your journey.
So I'll take this one because this is kind of like a wild ride that I sort of just am I still dragging you along, Arianne? Or are you willingly coming now?
I guess I'm more willingly coming along now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was back in 2015. Arianne and I were both working for cities, but different ones. And I was feeling a little bit stifled creatively. And she asked me to go on this road trip down to Austin with her, which for those of you from, across the world who don't know, that's about like a 2.5, 3 hour drive from Fort Worth. And she was going to be a judge for Keep Texas Beautiful and asked me if I wanted to come along. I had to do some writing and needed to get out of the office. So I was like, sure. So we're going down 35, which is the main highway down Texas. And I had this idea and I was like, hey, so wouldn't that be cool one day if we started our own company where we did all this communication stuff and education and outreach stuff, but like the way that we want to do it. And we call it like Rogue Water. And she was like, sure. And so that night actually turned out to be a pretty special night in Austin. I feel like it's where it kind of really
Definitely
solidified you just congratulated us on receiving a Dynamic Duo Award. And I feel like that night in Austin was really kind of what solidified how that we are dynamic. And I say that because, she came back from her judging and we're like, we're going to go, it's Austin, you got to go out. So we went down to the hotel bar. And I had said, hey, like this was back when Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake had just made this hashtag video that went viral. And I'm a huge fan of both of them. So I was like, you know what? We're in this crazy severe drought in North Central Texas right now. Let's make a hashtag video about it. It's like a thing right now. Let's do that. So on napkins, we're kind of brainstorming this out loud. We're laughing. And like an hour later, we have every single person around this hotel bar completely engaged with what we're talking about. And they're talking to us about water and they're asking questions about water and they're telling us their stories about water. And we were like, wow, that was kind of weird, but also really cool. So that was kind of the theme for the rest of the night. Every single place we went, dinner, drinks, whatever, we just
dancing.
People were just like attracted to this vibe and we're like, what are these two girls? Like, what is this all about? And so that's kind of like, that's not where the name, the H2 Duo was born, but like, that's really where I felt like that kind of came together. And a lot happened between 2015 and when were your kids born, Arianne?
Well, I had twins in 2015. Then I had another boy in 2017. So I got a little busy.
Yeah.
Personal life wise.
Yeah. I would say you're still busy personal life wise, but
but you guys still rock though. You guys still rock it. Like you just nail it.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that. But yeah, so like a lot kind of happened. We ended up at the same city together. So some things kind of put things on the back burner for a minute, but we found someone to do a website for us and we were like, yeah, sure, we can afford this. We just kind of started doing these little things
at a time.
Yeah. And for some reason
let me just pause and say the very first initial thing we did after her idea, 6 months later, we got our LLC, which that's a whole story in itself.
Oh boy.
How to royally screw up an LLC.
Yeah.
And then we got business cards and coffee mugs, naturally.
Most important thing.
Yes. And then, a logo. And so just little pieces at a time really got us to where we could, before we got the website, we got our real life chameleon, which is our logo. That was a big living vision board, if you will. And then the website, and then I'll let her continue.
Yeah, it was just kind of putting it out in the universe. And so we were talking about it more and we started to get some hits or some people that were interested. And, we were like, oh, well, maybe we can side gig. And then we were both like, are we kidding ourselves? Like we were so busy in our work. She has all these kids. Like, I'm very involved in my community. And so I was like, I don't have time to do a side gig. So if we're going to do this, like, it's going to have to be an all or nothing situation. But, you know, but we were like, when is that going to happen? Because we have to like have some sort of financial stability, obviously. So then a friend of mine who has her own company reached out and said, you know, what would it take for Rogue to go full time? I have this huge project coming up. I'm going to have a ton of hours I'm going to need help on, and I'd rather sub with you guys than try and find someone else. And so it made leaving was not easy because we loved what we did and we loved who we worked with, but it made that fear of that transition a little less. And so I think that's really what gave us the courage to take that leap. And so we had our last day. 2 weeks after our last day, that contract fell through, and so we had like nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And so we learned
we
really
had a little
quickly.
Something,
Yeah, we had like a skosh of something.
A couple clients, but not enough to not enough. You know, originally it was going to cover our salaries and everything, so it was going to be a pretty easy transition.
Right.
And then, we think that was God's way of saying, like, here, ladies, here's this silver plate, take it. And we took it, and then he was like, wait a minute. But wait, there's more.
Yeah. He's like, it's never that easy. You're going to learn how to bootstrap, and you're going to learn how to like
hustle.
Right.
Yeah.
So you went into the entrepreneurial journey exactly.
Like thrust into.
Right. But one thing I like about But one thing I like about this story though is you guys had the idea, and then an opportunity came, and that was kind of a turning point for you guys to take the lead, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like listening to the customer before you just went out and built everything. And that is something I picked up from another guest on my show as well, is that user or customers are always the most important thing. You should not spend too much time building something, but no one wants it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good learning, but sorry to hear that the deal went fell through. But you guys pick it up, and then now you're doing very well. And so I admire you to go through that journey and have things to learn. And I learn myself. I'm doing my own business, so I'm learning as I go as well. And nothing is clear. And when you do something for the first time, it's always be challenging. So that is the value, or like something I think about you guys, like doing something for the first time, just like went for it.
Go for it.
Yeah. I would have to say one of the things, because we get asked a lot if the podcast, or we get either asked or commented on, like, man, the podcast, that was brilliant. That's like great marketing. But the irony is that I would love to say that it was part of our great marketing scheme, but it was really like us needing to feel like we were doing something that was like giving back to or teaching or educating, because it's ingrained in us, you know, because we were a few months into just pumping out work and hustling, and got to like January, and we were like, you know, dude, this is not why we left. We didn't like leave to do all of the same stuff. Like we left, like she mentioned, our mission is to revolutionize the water industry. Like for us, that's through communication. We're not doing it by doing what we're doing. Like we have to find something else. We have to do something bigger. And so she was reading this great book called Entrepreneurial You by Dory Clark, which I told her to read. And she was like, hey dude, this was like in January. Hey dude, we should start a podcast. And I was like, okay. And so we started doing research. We hired a podcast mentor. Shout out Jeff Brown. And because we were like, this is legit. We want this to be serious. We want to do it right. And so we launched Water in Real Life in June of 2018 in conjunction with our Mastermind Summit Catalyst. All of our Catalyst speakers were our first guests. And that has become, I guess, like a good marketing piece, because we're terrible salespeople. So like this gives people an opportunity to learn about us, what we're about, who we are, what we offer, in the airwaves at their leisure and by their choice.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, we're not thrust upon them. So, but for us, selfishly, it's how we feel like we get to give back and how we feel like we get to share these incredible stories. You were one of them.
Yeah.
We get to share these amazing stories with, you know, who we personally call our water nerd fam, you know, because they're amazing and we love them and we want to give something back to them. So
right, that's very, very nice of you guys. You want to give back to the community for people, and that's, again, like I keep saying, like, yeah, this is the values entrepreneurs need to have. Like, don't afraid, go for the first time and give back to the community. It's not always about making money. It's important, but there's more than that, right?
Right.
So
yeah, we really needed
right.
We really needed a way to like scratch that itch of being a public servant. We were public servants for 10 years and longer, you know, just by nature of who we are. And so just, you know, to be able to do something to help someone get through something. And for us, that was educating on, you know, water story. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And kids or children that are listening, that will be the perfect example, like learning from this experience, this podcast. How many do you have now, podcast episodes?
61.
Yeah.
61. Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine if a boy listens to all of them, how much knowledge they will gain from that. That will be a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Imagine if water directors listen.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you started Rogue Water in Real Life, and I want to ask a little bit further, like, what are the biggest challenge along the way, apart from the deal fell through? What else that you could share with us here who are like listening to this?
I would say learning how to manage through uncertainty. I feel like I call it the machine. That's what I refer to, of like stepping outside of just kind of like the normal job situation. I feel like once you kind of leave that machine and like all of those systems and establishments, like it was very humbling for me because I read a lot. I try to like educate myself a lot. And just feeling like I was starting from scratch and knew nothing like this. It's just a whole new world. And so kind of getting used to that uncertainty and becoming more comfortable with, I've said this a couple of times now and different times when I spoke, is just about getting comfortable with the ambiguity of your dreams or kind of like your future and what you see, because I'm a bit of a control freak. And so for me, when I couldn't see what my dream was, that was really incredibly frustrating for me. But I trusted in where I was headed, that it felt right in my gut or right in Arianne's bones. Like she feels things in her bones.
I feel things in my bones.
And just like trusting in that and keep on doing what you need to do and putting one foot in front of the other every single day and just trusting that it's gonna happen. And I couldn't see this future because there was no way that 3 years ago I would have imagined, oh yeah, I'm gonna have my own company and we're gonna work in the public and private sector doing communication strategy and content development. Oh, we're gonna have a podcast and we will have interviewed like 61 people, like thought leaders from across the industry. Like there's no way I could have imagined any of that. But like we just trusted in it and went with it. So
Wow. And for me, just having you know, I don't have any background, you know, prior to working in water utilities of like accounting or HR or any of these functions that you need to run a business. And so for me, just learning all of that, those different departments and being the heads of these departments as well. You know, that's been a challenge. It's been a fun challenge, and now I wish I paid closer attention in budget meetings.
Budget always be the most important thing.
Right. And then I guess like for, you know, one of my biggest things that I like to say or remind people is like, you know, if I could go back and do anything, is like being more bold and being just kind of resting in the unknown. Like, it's okay, you know, to struggle and to not know what's going to happen tomorrow or if we're going to have clients, because I just like, we were bold. We took this leap of faith. We're doing it. And there's some bigger reason why we're doing it. And so just kind of being like, enjoying that ride, you know, it's scary. That's fine. It's stressful. That's fine. But it's also a really cool journey to be on. Like, not a lot of people get to start their own company and get to have this journey. So enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. Exactly. And no matter how it happens or what goes down, like, it's never going to be a fit. Like, it's never going to feel like a failure, because it's just, this journey has been so incredible so far that it's just, it'll always be worth it.
Right. That's very, very good to hear that. And I, even myself, like, I learn a lot right now, like, because I'm doing my own thing, I'm just going to go all in. I already doing it all in, but now I'm going to go like 200%.
You're doing it.
Just
You're
like,
doing it.
Yeah, just try my best to make it happen. That's awesome.
You have to love it. You know, I don't know how anybody does this who doesn't love what they do, because it's just, it's so scary, and there is so much uncertainty, and it's so much work, and it's so hard, like all of these things. But when you believe in what you're doing, when you are mission driven, when you love what you're doing, when you're seeing things that you're helping to impact and to change, it's just, there's like nothing better. I don't know. It makes the long days worth it. It makes it's incredible.
Right. Love that. Mission driven, trust in yourself,
driven.
and then all the uncertainties will be so small.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So thank you so much. All the insights of your journey that you share with me and everyone else that are listening to this vlog interview. It comes down to kind of the end of the interview already. Do you have anything else, like last words you want to share with water nerds out there, or even the directors, like what you're saying?
I actually have something that is a shout out back to you. We do this presentation called 30 Ideas in 30 Minutes, where we take our 30 favorite takeaways from podcast interviews we've done, conversations, presentations we've seen, and we turn it into this 30-minute presentation where we hustle through, like, we get through 30 ideas. Wow. And it's different every single time we do it based on the audience we're doing it for, and because we're always talking to different people, so it's changing all the time. But I always love to end with the story from our conversation with you. And the very first time I did it, I like almost completely cried on stage. But so it was the story that you told us about when you would go to Southeast Asia and you would be talking to some of these people that you guys had helped, and you would say that they would be smiling, and the smiling would encourage you to ask them, okay, what's that all about? Like, why are you smiling? And then you told us sort of how, like, something that we take for granted here is simple as having access to clean water or having a working toilet in the house just completely change these people's lives. And bringing it down to this just like very human component of what we do and how important it is of what we do in this industry every single day. And I end with it with reminding people that the work that we do matters, and that to understand that we're all in it together, and to smile. And so, like, we always end with that. We always end with you, because I think that it was like such a powerful a powerful story that you shared with us. And so, like, my ending point would be just for everyone listening to remember that, it's going to be hard, but that we're all in this together, and that, you know, we just need to like find peace in that and smile, and also to to never be afraid to ask somebody for their story, and to never be afraid to tell your story, because you have no idea who may need to hear it. So I want to thank you for sharing that story with us, as it's become.
I'm kind of lost of words right now, feeling like emotional. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate that a lot. How about you, Arianne? Do you have anything you want to?
I mean, gosh, I wish I went first, because that's an awesome way to end. I guess one of my favorite things is that the very first thing that we did was establish our core values, and how those have really guided us in every single decision and every single thing that we've done on a daily basis, the work we produce, the people that we interact with, how we interact with people. And so I really think that just establishing our true core, she and I's core values, and how we want this company to be ran and who we want to hire. So just as a business side of things, if you haven't done that, I would highly recommend you sit down and not just pick words that, are the top 6 of this list of 30, but really truly speak to you, because they do guide you in the tough times. Like being bold is one of them. So when I'm my scaredest or having full anxiety about something, I just look up and I'm like, okay, be bold. It's time to be bold.
I see.
So,
that's really good. The why is always the most. See, I'm losing my voice now, kind of like. So the why is the most important thing. What, like all the work we're doing. And thank you again, Stephanie and Arianne. Like, I appreciate all the time and all the wisdom that you share with us today. And I'm here now, like kind of like trying to pick my voice up. That ending you, Stephanie, is like meant a lot to me. And of course, both of you are like a power woman, water women. That's what I would call it. So thank you so much for being here with me. And I hope everyone that is listening and watching to this vlog will take away something or more than one thing from this conversation. So thank you so much, and enjoy the sunny Texas.
There you
Thanks
go.
for now. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.